the open road, the wind in your hair, the sweet smell of cola. It might sound like the start of a bad joke, but trust me, things are about to get interesting. We've all been there staring at the rising price of petrol and wondering, could there be a cheaper, tastier way to fuel our beloved vehicles? Today, we're diving headfirst into the fizzy unknown to answer that very question. Forget petrol, we're running on soda. Now, before you grab the nearest 2-litre bottle and sprint towards your car, a word of caution. This experiment involves flammable liquids and potentially dangerous reactions. We're professionals, sort of, and we took all the necessary precautions. This included fire extinguishers, a well-ventilated area, and a healthy dose of common sense. Do not, I repeat, do not attempt this at home. Leave the dangerous shenanigans to us. Safety officer, safety is our top priority here, folks. We've got thick gloves, safety goggles, and a whole lot of common sense to keep things under control. Before we even think about starting, we read through the safety manual thoroughly. Every step, every precaution, every potential hazard is noted. We set up safety barriers and mark safe zones to ensure that no one accidentally wanders into a dangerous area. Double-checking our equipment is a must. We ensure that all safety gear is worn properly and that everything is in working order. We also take the time to explain all safety procedures to the entire team. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Emergency procedures are demonstrated and practiced. We run through drills to make sure everyone knows what to do in case something goes wrong. Handling chemicals with care is crucial. We label everything clearly to avoid any mix-ups. Using the proper tools for the experiment is another key aspect. We make sure all tools are in good condition and suitable for the task at hand. Maintaining a clean workspace and disposing of waste properly are also important. A cluttered area can lead to accidents. Staying alert and focused is essential. We take breaks to avoid fatigue and ensure that everyone is at their best. Finally, we review our safety checklist one last time. When everyone gives the thumbs up, we know we're ready to proceed. With all these precautions in place, we can start the experiment with confidence, knowing that we've done everything possible to ensure safety. And when the experiment is a success, we celebrate, knowing that our commitment to safety made it all possible. Remember, safety first always. It's the key to not blowing up your car, or anything else for that matter.
First things first, we needed to bid farewell to the boring old petrol in our trusty test vehicle. Out with the old, in with the new, and hopefully not explosive.
We carefully drained the tank, making sure to dispose of the fuel responsibly. The air reeked of petrol fumes, a stark contrast to the sweet aroma that was about to engulf our workshop.
The process was meticulous but necessary. We had to ensure every last drop of petrol was out before we could move on to the next step.
With the tank empty, we stood there, staring at the gaping hole where fuel should be. Our anticipation was bubbling over, much like the fizz in the sodas we were about to use. It was time for the main event, the moment we had all been waiting for. We carefully selected a variety of sodas for our experiment, each one promising a different reaction. Each soda had its own unique sugar content and chemical composition, which we hoped would make for an interesting outcome.
From classic cola to zesty orange, we had an array of flavors ready to go. We were ready to quench our car's thirst with this sugary concoction, hoping it would be as thrilling as it sounded. The process was surprisingly straightforward. Funnel in the soda, screw the cap back on, and step back. As we did this, we couldn't shake off the feeling that we were committing some form of automotive sacrilege.
The moment of truth was upon us. The air was thick with anticipation. Would our fizzy experiment pay off, or were we about to learn a very sticky lesson? The questions swirled in our minds. Stay tuned to find out. The next few moments would reveal whether our unconventional fuel choice would lead to an unexpected success or a fizzy failure. As the bubbles settled in the tank, we couldn't help but wonder about the science behind it all. Would the carbonation affect the engine? Would the sugar clog the fuel lines? We had done our research, but nothing could prepare us for the real-world results. Theories were one thing, but practical application was another. The car engine, a complex piece of machinery, was now at the mercy of our fizzy experiment. We had taken every precaution, but the outcome was still uncertain. The team members exchanged anxious glances, each of us silently hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. With a deep breath, we turned the car key, the engine sputtering to life, or at least we hoped it would. The engine roared, and for a moment it seemed like our experiment might actually work. But then, the unexpected happened. The engine began to sputter, the sound of fizzing soda mixing with the mechanical noises. It was a symphony of uncertainty. Our hearts raced as we watched, waiting to see if the car would stabilize or if we had just created a fizzy disaster. The soda bottle, now empty, seemed to mock us. Had we really thought this would work? Or was it just a fun experiment gone awry? Regardless of the outcome, we knew one thing for sure. This was an experiment we would never forget. The laughter, the anticipation, the sheer absurdity of it all. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated fun. And so, with the garage filled with the scent of soda and the sound of laughter, we wrapped up our fizzy adventure, ready to share our findings with the world. Section 5, the moment of truth. Will it start?
The air crackled with anticipation.
We all held our breath as we turned the key, bracing ourselves for nothing.
The engine cranked and cranked, but it refused to catch.
It seemed our sugary fuel wasn't quite as energizing as we'd hoped.
After several more attempts, we admitted defeat. The car wasn't going anywhere on soda power alone.
Section 6, a bumpy ride and the scent of cola. This chapter takes us on an unexpected journey, where innovation meets desperation, and the results are as unpredictable as they are fascinating.
Defeated, but not deterred, we decided to try a different approach. Our previous attempts had failed miserably, but we were determined to find a solution. The garage was filled with the scent of various concoctions, each more bizarre than the last.
We mixed a small amount of soda with the regular petrol, hoping the sugar rush might give our car a little boost. The idea seemed ludicrous, but at this point, we were willing to try anything. The mixture fizzed and bubbled, a strange alchemy that held the promise of success.
To our surprise, it worked. The engine sputtered to life, albeit with a rather unhappy grumbling sound. The mechanics gathered around, their faces a mix of astonishment and amusement. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless.
We cautiously took it for a spin, the air now thick with the scent of cola and burning sugar. The exhaust spewed out a sweet-smelling smoke, a bizarre combination that turned heads as we drove by. It was as if the car had been transformed into a mobile soda fountain.
The car lurched and sputtered, struggling to maintain a consistent speed. Each jolt felt like a reminder of our unconventional fuel choice. The engine's protests grew louder, a symphony of mechanical discontent.
It was clear that this was not a match made in automotive heaven. The experiment, while intriguing, was ultimately a failure. The car eventually gave up, coming to a halt on the side of the road. We were left with the scent of cola lingering in the air and a valuable lesson learned. Sometimes innovation requires not just creativity, but also practicality. Our journey had been a bumpy ride, but it was one we would never forget.
Section 7. The aftermath. A sticky situation. After a short and rather underwhelming test drive, we retired our sugary experiment back to the workshop. It was time to assess the damage.
As expected, the engine was not pleased. The spark plugs were coated in a sticky residue and the fuel lines were clogged with a sugary sludge.
It was clear that soda, while refreshing for humans, was not doing our car any favors.
Section 8, the science behind the soda. So, why exactly did our experiment go so horribly wrong? Well, it all comes down to the basic science of combustion. Petrol is a hydrocarbon, which means it burns easily and produces a lot of energy. Soda, on the other hand, is mostly water and sugar. While sugar can technically burn, it doesn't produce nearly enough energy to power a car engine. Plus, all that sugar and other gunk in the soda wreaks havoc on the delicate internal components of a car's fuel system.
Section 9, Lessons Learned. Don't try this at home. Our experiment, while entertaining, served as a stark reminder that cars are designed to run on petrol, not sugary drinks. Attempting to fuel your car with soda will not only lead to a very disappointing and potentially dangerous outcome, but could also cause serious damage to your vehicle. Leave the car maintenance to the professionals and stick to enjoying your fizzy drinks the old-fashioned way, with a straw.
Section 10. Final thoughts. A toast to curiosity, but not with soda. While our experiment might not have revolutionized the automotive industry, it was a fun and educational journey into the world of cars and combustion. It's always good to ask questions, even if the answers involve a sticky, sugar-coated engine.
So here's to curiosity, experimentation, and the occasional disastrous but entertaining failure.
Cheers, S4, cheers, S3, cheers, S2, cheers.